Hey there everyone. So in this video we're going to talk about facilities and transportation. The air quality discussion transfers between the two of them. So we'll tackle this discussion together. So starting off with our facilities and how we're maintaining them in a safe manner. Since the beginning of this process last fall, we implemented a rigorous cleaning and disinfection schedule. So all of the normal cleaning is done on a nightly basis that we would typically do: bathrooms, cleaning of rooms, vacuuming, mopping. And then on top of that, we also are now disinfecting all high contact surfaces. So that includes the use of disinfectant spray and wiping in some areas, and then for larger spaces we do have the hydrostatic disinfecting sprayers that are in use in all of our schools, and so all doorknobs and handles and surfaces are disinfected. All those high contact areas are disinfected on a nightly basis. There were some questions about a deep cleaning, and actually the research is now showing that the deep cleaning is not necessary as often because of the fact that the transmission of this virus is more about airborne particles than it is about contact and surface contact. So we do a very rigorous cleaning on a nightly basis. There is no day in which we close down to deep clean. We haven't had that in our schedule at all. And so certainly the research has been borne out over the year to show that this is more about air quality than it is transmitting through surfaces. That doesn't mean we don't disinfect, but we're not doing a deep cleaning where we're closing the building down once a week to do that. So in regards to air quality, that's an important factor. As I mentioned, that is, we know now, that is the number one way that this virus is transmitted. So we spent roughly $250,000 over last summer and into the fall to study and remedy air quality across all of our buildings. Every space that is inhabited by an individual, student or staff, was tested for air exchange. And so that's the amount of times an air changes, that the entirety of the air in a room changes per hour. So we were looking for between 4 and 6 air changes per hour. There are some spaces across our facilities that tested below that, some that were 19 changes, 20 changes per hour. So we then did work to update all of our filtration, the MERV rating of our filtration, as well as increasing airflow. The majority of that cost was replacement of portions, ventilation, portions of systems to increase that airflow in places where it wasn't achieving that 4 to 6 air changes per hour. So based on that threshold, any spaces where we were not able to achieve that minimum standard, we did put portable HEPA filters in those locations. The other factor there is the size of the space. Certainly if you're in a traditional room with an 8-foot ceiling, that's very different than being in a gymnasium where the dissipation of viral particles and what have you is very different when you're in the large high school gym, for example, with only 20 students. The concern wouldn't be as great. We still went ahead and made sure that the air exchange in all those locations was at a minimum of 4, and in many cases, as I said, exceeds. So that in regards to facilities, nothing changes on our return. We're going to continue with the maintenance to make sure that that all of our systems are operating in regards to indoor air quality, and on top of that, all of our cleaning protocols will continue. There is a slight uptick with more students, but by and large it's the same process. Students and staff are involved with disinfecting wipes, and at the high school when a student leaves a class they wipe their desk down, a student wipes it when they come in. So that process will remain the same, as well as all of our nighttime procedures to make sure that our facilities are completely disinfected each night. Moving over to transportation, the same principles are impacted here, are in play here. There's new guidance from the Department of Ed that actually allows us to put 2 students per seat, and that is based purely on the fact that with the windows open, a moving vehicle can have upwards of 40 to 50 air changes per hour. So when moving, a vehicle can change the air. A vehicle the size of a bus with the windows down can change the air every 1 to 2 minutes. So certainly with students on the bus, no change in regards to masks, assigned seating, disinfect using hand sanitizer on the way on. All of those things stay the same, but it will be 2 students per seat. So certainly well within 3 feet even, if you're sitting in the same seat with another student. But because of the increased air exchange, with the windows required to be open. Again, so all windows have to be open a few inches. Obviously in the spring, it's a little easier when it's 60 degrees out than it is when it's 10 degrees out. So with the windows open, that allows us to ride or run all buses assuming 2 students per seat. There was some confusion in one of the last videos, or the plan or wrote about riding them or filling the buses at roughly 50% capacity. We have the ability to transport all students that want to ride the bus with the new DESE guidelines at 2 students per seat. The statement I was trying to make was roughly half of our families say that they anticipate having their students on the bus, which would mean that the buses wouldn't be considerably more full than they are now. There would definitely be some seats that have 2 per seat, 2 students per seat, other seats that will still have 1 student per seat. So we're still going to maximize students as best we can. We do need to, we're working through the process of currently students sit in order of the stops so that we can load them last on, first off. In assigned seats, we're working through that process to hopefully be able to shift students around and allow kindergarten students, for example, to sit back up towards the front of the bus and not be in the back of the bus with 6th graders. Again, the on-off pattern isn't as important now as the assigned seat, so we're working through a process to make sure that we can do that. All bus routes will be posted the week before we shift, so that will be next week, as I'm sharing this video, by the week of the 29th. We should have those out, I would say, by the 31st or 1st of April, the week prior to the shift, have the new bus routes out. The bus routes were developed off of the cohort A and B routes. We did not blow everything up and start from scratch. So by and large, if you were on bus 13 on your cohort B days, chances are you will still be on bus route 13. However, there may be some shifts as we balance out the cohorts across different routes. Most times will adjust with more students assumed to be on the bus. The timing may adjust, but most students will end up on the same bus route that they were. There will certainly be some adjustment. So we will have those posted the week prior to our shift by April 1st. So that you have an opportunity to take a look at those and follow up with Kyle Warren, our business manager, in regards to any questions. We will ask on the survey if you intend to ride the bus. That is just for planning purposes. There is no needed commitment. If you intend to ride the bus, have your students ride the bus at any time, I would just encourage you to say yes. There's a question that asks, is it all the time or sometimes? Just so that we have a sense of who will be riding the bus as we move forward. But as far as the planning, any student can ride the bus at any time, and there is capacity there. So as always, if you have any questions about these issues, certainly feel free to reach out to Kyle Warren, our business manager, who has spent a lot of time this year working on transportation and facilities with our facilities manager, or you can contact me directly as well. Appreciate it. Take care.